What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for checking me out. What's good with you? I hope it's all good. My name's GB. This is Slain by Force. Video series where we get to know this machine that is the Force. This is level 1, workout 3 in a 5-level workout series. We're going to pick up right where we left off. Last time we were together, we were hanging out. We went over the hardware, we went over the GUI. This time we're going to pick up right where we left off. We're going to start with the browser.
Your mission, Jim, should you decide to accept it.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Now, at this point, you should have already downloaded.
You should have already downloaded
Student Materials Pack.
And what we're going to do is find that in our browser section. And so you should have already downloaded your Sound Pro expansion. You may have downloaded it to an external memory card like this, micro SD. I think that's a micro, but external SD card. You might have just downloaded it to your internal hard drive. But in order to win this OPZ here, you are going to need the Sound Pro expansion so that everybody's on the same playing field. I think that that's part of the challenge, is that everybody gets the same tools, but not everybody builds the same house, if you will. So, that being said, head over to the Discord, sign up to the Sound Pro Discord so you can get the link and the promo code so you can get the expansion for free. So that way you'll have the tools that you need to continue this workout series.
And what we want to do is make a shortcut for that in our places location down here.
As always, should you or any member of your team be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions.
All right. That is the challenge. That was the challenge for the month of February, was just to go over to the Sound Pro Discord, get the promo code, and download the expansion so that you can have the tools that you need to win this OPZ. So we're going to pick up again right where we left off, talking about the browser. Let me get my screen right. All right. Talking about the browser here. So I'm going to start off with a brand new project so that we are all on the same playing field. Let's get this. Alright guys, so we got a brand new project, empty project loaded up. We're at a fresh GUI. We're going to get started off today talking about the browser. If this is your first time in the workout series, remember these workouts, well, you may not remember, but these workouts are moderator led. I'm just your coach and your host here to facilitate the information, maybe challenge you to use your equipment, go through it. Hopefully you'll learn something. We'll learn something together.
Or library. This is basically the browser section. So from the browser, and you've seen this in a lot of Native Instruments products if you ever used any, but it's a smart way to organize the library so you can find the sounds and instruments that you need quickly and easily, you know?
So, how do you get to the browser? Again, with a fresh project, this is the GUI. You can't get to the browser though. So in order to get to the browser, you want to go to the menu button And then there's your browser. Push matrix to go back to your clip matrix. Menu, browser. Matrix to go back to your clip matrix. Menu, browser. Picks up the browser. Matrix to go back to your matrix. But the easiest way to get to your browser is just to push load. Brings up the same area. Matrix back to the clip matrix. Load brings up the browser. Matrix. Same area.
There's over 15,000 sounds inside a machine, so how the heck am I going to find that kick drum that I want, or that drum kit, or that synth bass? This is meant to really make this easy for you. So you can see it's categorized by different banks. So if you're familiar with browsers and other software, this is obviously where you find all your sounds, all your projects, all your files.
Same concept here. If you're familiar with other browsers and other softwares, this is where we're going to find all of your sounds in the browser section. And you can find it, and you can see that it's categorized by places, content, and expansion. And under each of those settings or headings, there are subfolders. There's a subfolder for projects, MIDI files, kits, instruments, samples, and folders. So in each section there are subfolders. We are currently looking in our internal drive in the project section. There's nothing there. No MIDI clips, no kits, no instruments, no sounds. This is the internal hard drive.
Searching your computer contents, everything is going to be done right here in the browser. So from the software, we're going to look from left to right. We have our projects, our groups.
So looking from left to right, we have our places, our content, and our expansions. And again, the subfolders.
Our sounds, instruments, effects, samples, and then NI's internal sounds and our user samples.
And we can see that in our thumbnail view. If you go from places to content, you can see the thumbnail view of the audio clips, instruments, MIDI clips, kits, samples, and splice sounds.
You can switch between these. So it's very easy to use like this. You can also see a drop-down menu if you prefer to see the thumbnails, so I can search maybe the machine's internal groups, or I can find something from Transistor Punch, which is a simple expansion kit for a machine. So we can start looking at our groups. All the drum kits are in groups, right?
So if we want to find a drum kit, then we would find it in the kits.
The sounds are basically instruments, and then we get down to the actual instruments, which are the Native Instruments complete instruments, your effects, and then the samples, right? So if we
And so obviously we aren't using the Native Instruments yet, but what I hear from the new update is that soon we will have access to those Native Instruments in the Force, and that's going to set it off, right? Really set it off. So I'm really excited about that. Are you excited about that? Let me know in the comments below.
wanted to build a drum kit from scratch, we might come in and actually load a kick sample, a snare sample, etc. So we're just going to go find one of the built-in machine groups. So we know we want kits, and then type. What kind of type? Well, let's take a look at all the options. Acoustic kits.
Before we can even load a kit, again, the Force comes default with a plug-in track and an audio track. In order to load a drum track or a drum kit, we have to create another track. And we can do that if we're in the matrix screen by pushing the plus button and loading it there, or just holding on the track button below.
Acoustic kits are going to be your normal, like regular drum kits, like an actual acoustic kit. We can even search through all these different kits.
Okay, again, how do you go browse for kits? Load. And you can see your kits.
You know what? Maybe we're going to go digital. So what I'm going to do is actually double click from the software here. Kind of a nice sounding kit, right? If I want to load more sounds, you see how the group button is lit up white? This is because that means if you want another group, just hit that white button. Now we have group B in here. In group B, let's go find another kit. Except this time, let's actually say, you know what? We want percussion kits.
Now, same concept for us. If we want to load another kit, again, we hold the track button and we can load another kit. The first, I guess the first trick I'd like to show you with this browser is the categorization or the organization of these kits. Obviously, these kits are organized from A to Z. You can't really search them by genre. It doesn't really show. However, if you click on the magnifying glass, you can search them by genre, whether that be house, D&B, future bass, garage, grime, hip-hop, main room, moombahton, trance, rhythm, techno, trap. So, if you want to search kits by type, hit the magnifying glass to search your internal kits by type.
And then we can scroll down from our controllers, however we like. Load up a kit. And see if it's going to work for us. This one does. At the same point, maybe I want to actually load in a sound from the internal machine library. So sounds, again, are going to be these sampled instruments.
Same concept again. We can see all of our kits in our places section. So we can see, let me eject this. In our places section, you can see our internal drive, and you can see the internal clips and loops. And so you go to the subfolder. The clips and loops don't have any projects. They don't have any kits and patterns, but there are patterns. Melodic patterns, but there are no patterns. Projects, there are demo projects and templates. But we're looking for kits, so if we go to kits and patterns and we go over here to kit, then we can see all of the kits. And those are our internal kits. Again, by this point you should have downloaded the Sound Pro new expansion, and whether you've downloaded that to your internal SSD or an external memory card here, we want to find that in your places section here. And once you install that, you will see the kits within that card pop up on this side. So we're going to go into the Slain by Force and load our kits.
Specifically, we can see what kind. Let's go to the 2.0 library and let's find a type. Instruments. Again, there can be some drum sounds in here, or there can be instrument types. So I think we're going to go find some keys right away. And in fact, I'm going to select this fusion key sound because I know we're making kind of a loungy, deep house kind of track. I might want some kind of Rhodes piano in here.
Okay, now let's go back over here to this plug-in track, which is the first default track the Force comes with, and find an instrument. So we are in our places section and we're looking at kits. But if we come back over here to the content and go to instruments, then we can see the instruments. If we go over here to the search section and we type in Rhodes, it'll show us the Rhodes instruments that are available to us. And so the challenge, first challenge today, is to pick one of these random Rhodes or your favorite Rhodes and let us know in the comments below which roads is your favorite and why you picked it, I guess. I'm just going to pick a random one and load that in my first plug-in track.
So we load that up. The classic Roland 808 kit, of which we can even load up here.
Okay, now let's load the 808 kit. Let's go back over to our drum track. Go back to our places, Slain by Force, kits. You can't see the 808 kit because this Rhodes is still in the magnifying glass or being searched. So you want to make sure you clear that out. And now, if you go to Slain by Force and kits, well, you're not seeing it because we're in the internal. We want to go to this disk, Slain by Force. Okay, and now there's our 808 kit.
Let's look at something like Eamon Tobin kit. As you can imagine, this is going to be...
Go to track 4, load the Eamon Tobin kit.
Very cool found sounds. Eamon Tobin is known for very cool sampling he does, you know, where... I mean, these are interesting sounds.
So we've been loading sounds up to this point, but we can't see the sounds in the kits that we've been playing. In order to see the sounds and to play the sounds within the kit, you have to push note mode.
Digital kits, melodic kits. You might have some kits that aren't even drums at all. They're kind of like instruments. Percussion kits. So all your bongos and congas. What's cool to note about Machine, these pads are amazing. They're meant to be very playable. They're not like mushy or anything. You can really kind of...
All right, let's load another kit. Drum track. And let's load the conga kit. And as you can hear, when you scroll through your Slain by Force expansion, you'll hear an expansion or a demo. Sound more like that bongo kit, doesn't it? I don't know if it's the bongo kit or the conga kit. Let's load the bongo kit.
Finger dance with them, and the percussion kits especially are going to be good to use with that kind of thing.
But again, I guess the question was, what do you guys think about the pads on the Force, and how do you feel about them compared to the pads on the machines? Do you find them just as playable? Do you think they're just as sensitive? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.
And tons of these kits too. So we can come in here. Let's try the timpani kit. Who knows? I feel like writing movies.
Timpani kit.
Very cool. Percussion kits. Produce kits. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what the produce kits mean.
Again, and that's what makes the Native Instruments so cool. And so if they are going to do an update to the library in this thing, I would like a feature request here. I would like the ability to tag my favorite samples or my favorite sounds so that I can find them in the magnifying glass. Does that make sense? Y'all know what I mean? I think you do.
They're basically more for certain styles, I would say, and you can kind of tell. But a lot of time there's going to be some overlap with the artist kits or whatever. But sometimes I think they just have a lot of extra production mixing and stuff put into them. They're mixed a little different. They have extra effects on them and everything like that. Special kits are going to be more of your kind of weird kits, I think, special because they don't fit in anywhere else. So For instance, like a beatbox kit.
And again, that's what I think really separates Native Instruments from AKAI, is their content. I think Native Instruments has a huge library. Obviously, we all know Native Instruments has a huge library, and their sound design is flawless. I find that AKAI's kits are really pretty lacking and all kind of sound the same, if you will. They're all geared toward hip hop and urban, and I love that. But man, they're just really kind of boring. I'm probably gonna get some hate on that, but I think they are. They all sound the same. I think Native Instruments has a whole lot of flavor. So the fact that they have now recently made changes so that they have made Native Instruments available to the MPC users, and I believe that those features are coming to the Force. Boy, it's a game changer, right?
Cool stuff like that, you know. Maybe like a vocoder kit, for instance, here.
1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Paste it. Stop. Keep it down.
So something that doesn't fit in anywhere else. Urban is going to be all sorts of good stuff. And then vinyl kits. I know I touched on these earlier, but these are some of my favorites, to be honest. Let's look up this pressed kit, for instance. Load him up. But these are all vinyl samples, you know. You hear the crackle from the vinyl. So all these samples have been ripped off vinyl. They sound fantastic. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. So you can see, you can choose from all different categories. Basically, any genre of music is pretty much covered here inside of Machine's factory content. And of course, you can always...
And that was my goal with the Selling by Force expansion, was to pick a bunch of kits that would cover every genre, so that we could have a lot of participants in every flavor, right? So we're going to see what people come up with. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with.
Just load up your own samples and do whatever. But the same token, we can bring in another group. Remember, you have unlimited groups. And we can even load samples. So let's go in.
Now again, the Force is limited to 8 instrument tracks and 8 audio tracks. At this point, we've loaded 7 instrument tracks, because we have an instrument track here, and we have 6 instrument tracks, 6 instrument tracks, and 1 audio tracks, 7 tracks total. So we're going to go to number 2 here and delete that track, just like that. And now we have 1 instrument track and 5 drum tracks. But the drum tracks are also instrument tracks.
And find some specific samples. Let's do this one right from the library here. And you know what? I'm going to search every single sample. Now, when we look at this tag-based browser, this is very helpful to see, because we can find specific drums, we can find them from a specific library, but you can see things will get pretty crazy right away. I mean, there are 8 gigs worth of sounds inside a machine, so let's go in and find some specific samples. Let's do this one right from the library here. And you know what? I'm going to search every single sample. Now, when we look at this tag-based browser, this is very helpful to see, because we can find specific drums, we can find them from a specific library, but you can see things will get pretty crazy right away. I mean, there are 8 gigs worth of sounds inside a machine, so how are you going to find...
Same concept. there are, I don't even know how many gigs. Oh, obviously this machine, the Force comes with 14 gigs of sounds. How do you find an individual sound when they're all categorized the same? Clip, bass, house, bass, one. To be able to whittle down these sounds would be huge. To be able to tag it with some favorites would be huge. Feature request.
For instance, I want a shaker, and there's so many different kinds of shakers, whether they're analog, digital, or whatever. We want to use these attributes to whittle down the results. Otherwise, I mean, look at this list of just shakers. You'll drive yourself crazy all day.
Exactly. How can we favorite our favorite sounds on this machine? But there is one way.
Looking for something, right?
The only way I know.
This browser is actually pretty sophisticated, and we have two separate sections in order to organize different sounds.
Okay. This browser is actually pretty sophisticated, and there is a way to organize the sounds if you bring them in organized. So up until now, we've been looking at the places section and loading clips or kits from there. And we've seen the content where we have audio, clips, instruments, MIDI, kits, samples, splice sounds. But now if we go over to our expansion tab, this is where the browser becomes more sophisticated, because the browser, the expansions, allow you to organize your folders the way that you want them.
This top section up here called categories is already pre-organized, and hardwired locations have been set that'll take you to certain content. So let's check out some of the content.
So again, we're looking at some of the content within our Slain by Force expansion, and the areas are already hardwired. We have the projects, MIDI files, kits, instruments, and samples. They're already hardwired inside the Slain by Force expansion. If you downloaded that expansion, you put it in, it should have already popped up within your GUI, A to Z.
So for instance, this file right here, if I click on this file, you'll notice down here we have a preview tab, and I have this preview button currently enabled. So if I click on a file, I'll be able to hear it before I actually add it to the session view.
And so the same thing applies for us. If we go back over here, and we want to go back to the content, and we're looking for an individual sound, actually anywhere. You can see the preview button right down here. What am I thinking? The preview button is right down here. So whenever we go to a sound, we can hear it because of this preview button right down here.
And here's our audio clip in that track. Now below the categories section, we have a places section. Where categories is more hardwired locations, these are predetermined by Live. The places section allows you to set custom locations to any content that you frequently use or just want to have handy.
And so that's kind of the same thing for us. We don't have the places, but the expansion area allows us to organize our files into specific ways that we want. And so that's the goal of this Slain by Force expansion, is to show you how I wish expansions were made.
Then that way you can browse your own content without leaving Live's interface. Now at this point you should have already downloaded the student materials pack. And what we want to do is make a shortcut for that in our places location down here. So I put in my music folder. The reason why is because I like to have all of my content that I plan on using in a centralized location. This makes it much easier to keep organized.
Now that's what makes this machine so amazing. It's the ability to bring in all of your content and have all of your content organized in one place. And so what I've come to find over the years is that if I organize my files and bring them in organized, then they're pretty easy to find. But if you're a Native Instruments machine user, then you know how hard it is to bring in external sounds into the machine. But the Force allows you to bring in anything you want, including the factory machine library. And I'll have that for you in the next video.
So I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Now I've located my folder. I'm going to hit open. And now you see the folder is here in places. So let's select this and see what shows up to the right. Now we can see all of the content in each folder. And if we go inside that folder, we see more folders, and we can expand and collapse these folders to see the content within them. Now let's say there's a particular sample, particular audio file that I wanted to find in all of this. Okay, it's a ton of stuff to search through. And I want to find a file called Detroit that's spelled with 2 E's.
Okay, so we're gonna load an audio track. Hold a track button and go to audio clip. And now we're gonna look for a file named Detroit with 2 E's. You can't see anything because we're looking in the projects. But if we go over to the sample section, oh, there's still nothing. Maybe it's in this tab. Ah, it's over here. I'll have it for you in your Sound Pro expansion. Actually, I'm going to have to give it to you through the Discord.
So D-E-E, Detroit.
So this works at the group level, the sound level, the instruments. Paying closer attention.
And so now we have that Detroit file loaded up. But we can't see it because we're in note mode. If we want to launch that Detroit clip, we go back to launch mode, and there's a clip. And now we can launch that Detroit file. Let me turn it down.
To the instruments, these are
Like that.
basically integrated with your complete instruments from Native Instruments. So if you're using the amazing stuff from Native Instruments, which we will be throughout this course, you'll see it right here.
There it is. That is level 1, class 3, the browser. I hope you found that informational. Hope you found that informative. If you did find that informative, you got anything from that video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. If you're interested in winning the OPZ, go over to the Sound Pro Discord and sign up. Just follow along. Thank you for checking me out. I'll see you in the next one.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
As always, should you or any of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions.
As always, should you or any member of your IM force be caught or killed, the Secretary will disavow all knowledge of your actions.
Thanks for checking me out. I'll see you guys in the next one.